Hi everyone, it's Louise from Made It number 27, and today I'm bringing you another inspiration video for the Feeling Sketchy challenge blog. Today's video is going to be very short, mainly because I was partway through filming today's card when I realised my camera had gone flat. So I have already created some of the pieces of my card, but really the aim of today's card was to demonstrate how to make a shaker card. Shaker cards have been really popular the last few months. I know I've certainly been making lots and lots of them, and I've had a few questions emailed to me about the best way to go about making shaker cards. So for today's card, I've already cut and scored my grey cardstock. I have embossed my sentiment already, and it is from this Mama Elephant set called Smitten. This is a Valentine's Day card, or it really could be any sort of love card, but with Valentine's Day coming up, I thought it would be great for that. I've also used a stamp from this Hero Art set, and I have already stamped and coloured her with Copic markers. With my silhouette machine, I've cut this speech bubble, but any thin metal die speech bubble can be used to create this panel. This is Express It blending cardstock, which is Copic friendly, and I stamped my little girl in Memento Tuxedo Black, which is also Copic friendly. I am by no means an expert at Copic colouring, but I did just some very, very simple shading, pink and red for her dress and some brown for her hair. And so now all I need to do is go ahead and assemble my shaker card. So this is going to sit over the top like so. What I need to do is create my window. So I've cut a piece of transparency. This was just from some stamp packaging that I didn't need anymore. So make sure you don't throw those bits and pieces away. I'm going to use some liquid adhesive to adhere that. This is just Tombow liquid adhesive. And just want get that all adhered down. Now to create dimension for the shaker box, I like using the Scotch foam tape, but it's not very thick, so I'm going to double it up. And that just means that all the little bits and pieces inside your shaker card can move around more freely. You can of course just use one layer if you want it flatter for mailing, but your bits and pieces might not move around very much. So by cutting my tape in half lengthways, I can fit it in those thin areas, and it also just means that your tape goes a bit further. Get that stuck on there. Okay, so there's the box completed. The most important thing to note is all of this foam tape butts up against each other. You don't want any tiny little sprinkles to escape your shaker box. Now, some people put their shaker bits in here and then they stick the card on the back. I have a lot of trouble lining things up doing it that way because I want to have a fairly even border all the way around my card. So what I'm going to do is put my sprinkles over my stamped and embossed sentiment. And I have these darling little sequins that I just got from our local art and craft store. They weren't branded or anything, but they are a mixture of hearts in pink, silver, light pink, dark pink. There are even a couple of red ones in there too. So I'll just make sure that there's enough there to shake around. I've picked up some gunk off my mat on my panel, so I'm just going to use an eraser to get rid of that. That one's a bit stubborn, so I'll just scrape it off with my craft knife. No one will ever know. Okay, so I can remove all the liner papers from my foam tape. Now the front of my card is fairly plain, so I want to just jazz up my little girl a little bit. I have a Wink of Stella brush in clear, and I'm just going to add some shimmer to the hearts on her dress. Might be hard to see on the video, but this just gives a really subtle shimmer to the scallops on her dress, just anywhere where there's red, I think. Her little shoes. I'm going to add some glossy accents to those hearts and shoes. Come on. I have a blockage. Doesn't matter what I do with my glossy accents. I've seen all the tips and tricks. Mine just always gets clogged. So that just adds some gloss to those hearts. And then a little bit on her shoes. They're shiny shoes. One other thing I want to do is add with a white gel pen, just add back in the highlights to her eyes. They were coloured over when I coloured in her face. And I'm going to use some black enamel accents from Ranger for her buttons. Very, very tiny buttons. So I just want the smallest little drop. Lovely, and a little bit of a flick from underneath will just help the glossy accents spread out and get rid of any bubbles, and for the enamel accents just to flatten slightly. So there's today's shaker card. I hope that all made sense, and I hope you've been inspired to make some shakers of your own. See you next time.